The road that is currently working is actually stealing from you. And what it's stealing is more valuable than money. It's time, it's enjoyment, it's fulfillment. It's a sense of living your life how you want to live it. But you can change it in one day by making one decision. And when you make that decision, your life changes forever for the better.
I'm Kim, and this is my brother Garrett, and this is the Prime Grit Mission.
So I want to start off today with a story, okay? And it's a Blockbuster story.
Oh.
Because it's about Blockbuster. So Blockbuster in the year 2000 was making $800 million a year on late fees.
All those people forgetting to bring back their
DVDs
VHS.
and those VHSs on time, right? But so they're making $800 million just on late fees, right? They're making money outside of other places, but that's a cash cow to say the least, right?
Let me just get in the way of this story and important stuff and just say, no wonder libraries can exist.
Late fees?
They probably make a killing and no one knows, and we're all just like, how does this library stay up and running? And it's because no one turns in their books.
Maybe, but also, I mean, I don't know, maybe, but when you went to Blockbuster, you had to like put your card in.
Oh,
So
so
if
they
it was
can
late, they
immediately
charged,
charge
right?
it.
It's like libraries, people like have these books for forever. They take it back 5 years later, and then the library's like, oh, that's $10. You know what I mean? Because you buy the book.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Okay. Well, I guess I didn't figure out the question everyone's been asking.
Yeah. But that was, clearly part of their business model, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, my point is, so they're making this crazy money. They get approached by this small startup company, and they say, we want to sell you our company for $50 million. The board of Blockbuster laughed them out of the room. They just said, like, no way, we're not doing that. It's comical, right? That company was Netflix.
Oh, famous last laughs, huh?
Netflix was trying to sell for $50 million. Today, they are worth billions on billions, right?
Yeah.
Blockbuster could have owned them for $50 million, laughed them out of the room, kept charging their late fees, didn't ever adapt. And then, as everyone knows, Blockbuster went out of business. They're done. It's gone,
Yeah.
right? There's actually one left in the world, and they say it is for museum and history's sake.
Yeah, it's like a vintage,
It is, yeah.
vintage store.
The moral of the story is that Blockbuster had a proven path that was making them money. And so, and they were on this path. And then they looked and they were given an opportunity to go off of it, try something new, right? Take a risk. And they said, no. They laughed at it even, right? It was that absurd in their reality to take that they just laughed.
Which is so crazy.
And then, it wasn't even very much longer after that. Blockbuster is completely out of money, completely gone, and Netflix is king of the hill.
I looked it up, $316 billion.
That's how much they're worth? Holy cow.
Yeah.
I did not know it was that much.
Yeah. And contrast that with this guy named Dick Fosbury. He was a high jumper, and everyone was doing what they call a straddle jump. And it's basically where you run up and you get your far leg over first, and then you kind of swivel around.
Do you want to demonstrate that for us?
Yeah, right. Me and my 5'2" self jumping a foot in the air. And he started I think it was in college, he started jumping backwards. He started practicing at practice jumping a different way. And he came and won the gold medal in the Olympics jumping backwards and literally changed the sport forever. Everybody jumps backwards now. That's what we're accustomed to seeing, is people jumping backwards. And that's because of this guy, Fosbury.
But he also had a lot of pushback, didn't he, when he started jumping backwards?
Yeah, because who would have thought that'd be the right way or the best way,
So I heard that when he was trying to do the Olympics that year, in college, his coaches had kind of let him do it, right? And then when he made it to the Olympics, all the coaches that he had for his country, for anyone that was around them, kind of looked at him side-eyed and said, like, this doesn't belong. You're doing this wrong, right? That's not the way. That's not the right way. You're doing it wrong, right? And that's interesting because those are literally the coaches designed to help you be your best, right? And then when he won gold medals, they still said it was wrong. They didn't just immediately adapt, right? It took like 20 years when they finally did. And then they named it after him. And they even used to call it the
Fosbury flop.
Fosbury flop. I bet you the flop part was derogatory.
Probably.
You know what I mean? Like they're saying, look at that. We're not going to call that a jump. We'll call it a flop. You know what I mean? Like they're making fun of him, calling it that, trying to say, hey, that's the wrong way. But at the end, that's the way everybody does it now. And it was clearly better than the path they were doing.
It is interesting the natural resistance to doing something differently or change. Like we all have this natural, even the Blockbuster guys, it's like they were like so attached to their late fees money that they couldn't believe that there was something better or more. And they thought, I'm going to hold on so tightly to what I have that they couldn't get more, right?
Well, and here's the thing. Those Blockbuster executives and their board that said no to buying Netflix for $50 million, which would have been an insane investment now at 300-something billion. But anyway, they looked at that and they said, if we paid this $50 million to Netflix and started doing what they're doing, we would lose it. Late fees, right? Because digital media has no late fees. You just lose access after whatever time, right? And so it's a totally different thing. They're basically saying, I'm not going to walk away from $800 million, right? Which is understandable, right? And in fact, there's a reason they all laughed at it. It was so far-fetched and so out of the realm of possibilities that it was dumb. But now that we have 20/20 vision from hindsight, we can clearly see that would have been the right choice.
Yeah. They're probably still kicking themselves about that.
And I think too often, though, today, we do this as people. We think we're doing the right thing. We laugh or talk bad about or think it's dumb when people are doing things that are not on the same path that we believe is the right path. And what happens is we get so locked in on this default path that we miss out on everything else. And it eventually costs us, sometimes everything.
You know what this is making me think of? I don't know if you probably know this, but the way that they trap monkeys is they give them like a little trap or a little hole that's so small that they have to squeeze their hand in and grab something bigger than their hand. And so they can't get it back out. But they will never, ever let go of the fruit or the piece of food that's in the hole. And so they can't get their hand out, so they get trapped.
Yeah.
Even when they're coming, they won't let go, ever.
Let it go.
And it's like that, literally they lose their freedom because they won't let go of one thing. When there's other places to find fruit, other paths to get food, etc.
Yeah, that's kind of exactly what it is, right? Like our own grasp on what we think is necessary sometimes just leads us down the wrong path, right? And I love that you said the monkeys, because it's like they're doing that to catch them and put them in captivity, right? Like it's the same thing with us. Like when we get stuck on these wrong things, when we let the default path take us, it almost always leads you to getting stuck, to being in captivity.
And it's like if you hold so tightly to what you have, you cannot get something else, even if that something else is better. And I forgot what I was going to say.
That's okay. We'll carry on. But yeah, if you're holding on so tightly to what you think you have, and then you see something that's better and you won't let go of it, you know, you'll miss all the opportunities that come to you in your life, right? And rarely do the best opportunities look obvious, right?
Well, what I was going to say was, if you are so focused on having, like wanting what you have, then like at the end of it all, you realize like, I actually didn't want that. I just didn't let go enough to see like there's something else better. Like I wanted something else, but it's like, no, I want this because it's hard to let go. But there's so much better things to have than what we're holding on to 90% of the time.
Yeah. So what we're really talking about then, Kim, on this episode is the default path and why it is actually your enemy. So explain exactly what we mean by the default path and why it is your enemy.
So in my mind, I always call it the 40-40 plan. It's the, hey, you go to high school, you go to college, you get a job, you work there for 40 years, 40 hours a week, retire on a meager income, and live a less than stellar life, having wasted your prime years not doing anything. And included in all of this is you're working for somebody else, you're building somebody else's empire, and you probably don't have real meaning or purpose in your life. Greater than maybe a family, I would say. And the reason that we say it's the enemy is because first, we believe that every single person has a purpose and a unique ability to fulfill it that no one else really can. And then second, this is one of Garrett's favorite thing to say, but it's from Myron Golden. That's like, what keeps you from becoming a millionaire? $100,000, right? And so it's the enemy because it's the theoretical $100,000. You're holding on to safety and security, and you're letting go of meaning, fulfillment, growth, freedom, opportunity to serve and fulfill your life's mission that you could get if you were willing to get off the default path as if it's the best one that's going to take you somewhere you want to go, when it doesn't.
So what you're saying, though, is the default path is not like terrible or it's not broken.
It fulfills its technical purpose.
So, I mean, it actually does what it says it will do, right? It gives you security, maybe safety, and not perfectly, but, you know, more than entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And then similar to that $100,000 that prevents you from making $1 million, it's enough to keep you alive and content and comfortable. Mm-hmm. And when you're doing that, you're not willing to walk away, right? It's like it's enough to keep you comfortable, so you'll never get more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's not by accident. I think that nowadays, contrary to what a lot of people say, people are better than they've ever been. They are smarter. They are nicer, which I know people won't believe that, but get to know some people. They are nicer and more willing to care for other people than they have ever been. They're more outside focused than they've ever been, but they are being trained 24/7, night and day, to get comfortable. Don't get outside of yourself. Live in this default path because it's the only way. And then you'll eventually be a responsible adult, right? As if that's the end goal.
Yeah. That's what I was just thinking. And I was like, I haven't thought through all the way, but it's just like, is comfort all that it's cracked up to be? Like, is that really all we want to say about our life at the end? Like, I was comfortable.
It's just easy. That's all it is. It's easy. It's the path of least resistance.
And it's like what we're all like actively seeking. It's like you get up every day and you spend your whole day trying to be comfortable. But it's like, and that seems logical and like the right thing, and almost like your brain's default too. Like your brain is wired to make things easier for you over and over and over again. Like it just iterates to make things easier and easier. But at the end of it all, is that like really what we want? You know?
Yeah, it makes me think. Last week, we went up to a lake, and as we're driving there, the lake was way down because we haven't had a lot of water, right? But you could see the river that's kind of going into the lake, and it's like this just slow S almost, you know, when I say S, but it just keeps kind of winding back and forth. And I'm looking at it like, if you just went straight there, it'd be a lot easier, right? And I feel like a lot of times this little wandering path is kind of the path that this default path, what it gives you, right? It's like saying you can get from A to B really quickly. I'm going to take the really long, slow road because that way you don't risk anything. You don't risk landing at the wrong spot. You don't risk, you know, maybe not being comfortable, right? Mm-hmm. And I think for a lot of people, that's the hardest part. It's saying like, look, I like my bed. I like my Netflix. I like my eating out whenever I want to and not have to worry about what it costs. I like not having to save so much. I like all these things, right? I like that somebody else saves and put it in my 401k so that I don't have to, right? And then it literally becomes all about comfort. And then pretty soon you're so comfortable for so long that you are incapable of doing what actually needs to be done. You're incapable of handling the hard situations, right? And I think hard times make tough people. Tough people make good times, but then good times makes weak people, and weak people make hard times. That's a big circle there.
I'm going to write that on a board.
But I think you see it all the time, and not just generationally. I think you see it like within our own lives at certain times, right? Like I've seen it in mine. I have been through really hard times, and I look at who I became and what I did because of those hard times, and usually so that I'll never have to do it again. And I get to this level where I feel comfortable, and I feel like, okay, I made it, right? You're on top of the mountain for a second. And you're like, okay, this is pretty good. And you think you're just going to chill up there.
Yeah.
But then life goes on. And then pretty soon you find yourself looking at another mountain that's bigger than before, and you're out of shape, right? Because you quit trying to find the right path, or the path that God wants for you, or the path that's actually going to lead you to where you want to be. And instead you said, I'm going to take this comfortable path, right? I think too of what Jesus said when he talks about paths. He says that, wide is the path, and many people find it, that leads to, does he say hell? I can't remember.
No, he doesn't say hell.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up.
Leads to destruction.
Okay. So wide is the path, and many people wide is the way, and many people find the path that leads to destruction. But he says the path that leads to eternal life, it's straight and narrow, and few people find it. I don't think few people find it because it's hard to find. I think few people find it because they don't want to take it, right? And then here's the thing. They beat it into your head. You have to go to college, right? You have to. You have to go to college. You have to get this job. You have to get these 40 hours a week. You should probably get overtime. You have to save all this money in your 401k. You need to not take risks. You need to build good credit, because having good credit allows you to buy things that you couldn't afford at a better rate, right? Like you need all these things that are going to somehow make you who you want to be. And all it really does is make you one of the bunch. And it leads to your 40-40 plan, where we've already talked about this, but you get to retirement age, less than 30% of people actually can successfully retire on even just the same amount of income that they're making before retirement. So almost everybody, over 70% of people, take a step down in quality of life, if you want to judge that just by your financial side, when they retire.
And very few people are actually making the same amount of money.
No, and
you have to step down. There's just no way to make that.
Well, yeah, because retirement doesn't pay that, right?
Yeah.
Social Security doesn't pay 100% of what you were making. They pay much less, right?
And I do want to say, we're not against college or credit or any of these things necessarily. We're just saying don't do it by default. Like if you're going to do something, do it with purpose. Know why you're doing it. Know where you're going, and do it with purpose, and be okay if it does stray from that straight path. And then talking about the security, it makes me think of that quote that says most people trade what they want most for what they want in the moment.
Yeah.
And people want security in the moment, but what they want most is not security, right? But you feel like, I want it so badly in the moment, and it feels almost like, what else could I possibly do? Like I have to be safe and secure, that you miss what you really, really want, which is a life of meaning. Like you want to feel like you did something that mattered.
So I saw this, I actually want to say it was a Nike commercial. And they were asking...
We're not being paid for this?
Nope. We'll just beep the Nike part.
Yeah.
But they were asking these girls, what they wanted to be in their life, or who they were. Maybe that's what it was. They said, who are you? And they'd be like, oh, well, I'm just Stacy, and I do finances. Or, I'm Ashley, and I'm just a mom. And they usually always said just this, right? And then they actually went and they asked a bunch of little girls. They were like 5 or 6 year olds. And they said, what are you? And they said, I'm lightning fast. I'm, Supergirl. I can jump the highest. I am hilarious. I am going to be the president, right? They had all these dreams and they had all these things, right? And it's like at some point it changed, right? And here's where I think the default path really starts stepping in, right? And I'm not, again, like you said, we're not trying to bag school or careers or things like that. Like what we're saying is open your eyes and choose your path. Don't accept the default path because it doesn't have your best interest. It has the interest of the people that profit off of you. It doesn't have your best interest. So choose your path, not the path someone is getting paid for you to follow, right? But so somewhere along these lines, these girls, they're going to school, they're getting told that they're not that good. They're getting told that they're not going to be able to accomplish these things. And then they were believing it, right? And I think that's what happens. You go to school and then you're taught all these things that you're supposed to do and you need to do them or else you're wrong. And then they even give you a grade and say, hey, if you didn't get these right, you're wrong, right? And it creates kind of this idea of I'm smart and I'm right. If I don't choose what everyone else chooses, I'm wrong, right?
I'm dumb.
Yeah, they're dumb. And then I've had this experience multiple times, right? So when I left my job, and I said, I'm building my own business, I had multiple people tell me, Garrett, you can't do that. You have to have a job. You need to have a job. And they say it in a way that's like, it's just obvious. Like, there's no other path. Like, that is life. You have to have a job, right? It's like saying you got to have air. And I just, it almost made me sick because not that I knew better, immediately all the time or when I heard it, but I also felt like, no, you have been programmed your whole life to think that you have to have this. And what is that doing for you, right? Like, is your life so much better that you're accomplishing these great things, right? It's not. That is the belief of these older girls in this commercial where they think I'm just this, I'm just that. And they define themselves by a job title as opposed to who they actually are or what they could be. Like, they give up all potential for security that's not even that secure. People are getting laid off all the time, right? And I just look back and I think of those little girls that the whole world was in front of them. And if we were to ask their mothers, what are the limits you want to put on them? Okay, like tell your daughter what can she do and what can't she do, and put the limits around her that you put on yourself, and they'd be like, no way, they'd think you're a terrible person. But yet they actually put those limits on their daughters as soon as they get a little older. You start saying, this is how the world works, right? So I have a 5-year-old daughter right now, Greta. Cutest little thing in the world. She's roller skating right now and just loves it. Just all day, every day. I told her not to do it on Sunday, and she just cried. God, I want to roller skate. 6 a.m., girl, go to bed. Anyway, she will tell you that she wants to be, I can't even remember the name of it now, the people that study bugs. A bugologist.
That's not it, but we'll allow it.
And she also says that she wants to, run races, right? She just wants to do anything, right? And it changes on a whim at any moment, but she thinks she can do anything. At no point am I ever going to tell her, Greta, you can't become a bugologist, right?
Yeah.
I would never do that, right? And I don't want her to think that. I want her to think that she can do anything in the whole world. Because she already does. And
she probably could.
Well, she absolutely
Whatever
could.
she wants,
the biggest determining factor with anybody accomplishing their goals or not is in one 3-letter word. Did they try? Most people never try. You clear the trying barrier, you've got it. And if you fail, try again, right? You do that forever, you will never fail. You will succeed at some point. People won't do that. They're too scared of failure. They're too scared of losing the security to ever take the risk. But here's the truth. You could take the risk, fall flat on your face, get right back on that default path like this. It's so easy. It's so available. It's not something that will ever lead you to becoming someone great. It doesn't lead there. It does not lead to greatness. It leads to below average, right? And I don't even say average because everyone who takes it, the path eventually jades them enough that they are unhappy, jaded, and not where they want to be.
It's really interesting because it feels like we read this book. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's, The Art of Significance.
Yeah.
And it talks about the difference between being successful and being significant. And anywhere on this default path, you can be in lots of levels of success, I think. And we're not saying that.
We'll talk about the difference between success and significance so people know what you're trying to say.
So success is, accomplishing things.
It's getting what you want.
It's money.
Is what he says. Dan Clark, as he writes, he says, getting what you want.
But being significant is helping other people get what they want, essentially. Get what they need, get what they want. So significant people are turned outward and they're remembered for more than, they can last lifetimes. But what I was going to say is that we're not against you being successful. And we're not saying don't take the default path just so that you can be successful and free. We want you to choose your path intentionally so that you can be significant, that you can make a difference in other people's lives that really need help and need somebody that can make a difference. And they need you. They need the difference that you can make for your mission, for your call, what your skills have. They need that. And if you just stay on this default path, no matter how successful you are, you're not significant. And that's the real goal, is that you can become someone of significance for other people.
I agree with that 100%. I think the biggest waste in all of our lives, in the whole world, is businesses being optimized that shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
And it's people optimizing their lives, a life that they shouldn't be living. Not that they should die, but that they should be living so much more, right? I mean, how often do you see like businesses that almost provide no value, that just leech off of people, take advantage of government contracts, screw over the people, their customers, right? And then they're billion-dollar companies optimizing to do it more and more efficiently.
Yeah.
Right? But that company shouldn't even have to exist, right? I feel like you see it all the time. I think our legal system, lawyers, right? I mean, I think I've told this story before, but I was with part of a startup where we all lost the equity that we had because of a dispute. The only people who won were the lawyers. And they won because it doesn't matter who's right or who's wrong, they get paid either way. But they built in so many laws and so much regulation and so many of these different documents that they don't just get paid, they get paid a fortune, right? And all of that for what? So they can try to make people actually tell the truth and work with each other, right? The legal system shouldn't have to be what it is, but people quit telling the truth so much. And so it had to grow. It had to fill in a gap, right? And now they just profit off it massively. But my whole point is that when you choose this default path, all these other things get added onto it, and they are creating and shaping who you are and who you become and where you end up, right? Your future, you're putting it in this path, this winding river, and you're just floating. You're never looking to the side and saying, hey, that might be a shortcut. That might be a cool place I want to go visit. Most people are just closing their eyes and floating down the river, and 70% of them are going to end up falling off a waterfall. The other 30% might end up at the lake, and hopefully it's not an ugly lake,
Yeah. Hopefully it's bigger than a puddle. Yeah. The real message of Prime Grit is that you were designed for more. And what's lost on the default path, what the enemy takes, is purpose. It's significance. It's meaning.
It's the life you're supposed to live.
Yeah, that you were designed to live.
It's all your potential.
Yeah. And it's all the gifts and the talents and skills essentially wasted. That's a harsh word for people to hear, but you weren't made with the skills you have to just answer the phone or create you were designed, and you have your skills and talents to help and bless a specific group of people. And whatever way you do it and whatever path you take, it should be leading to that. You are designed for more than the default. And the default tells you that you're not good enough, you don't have skills, never take risks, risks are bad, change is too hard, you should be the most comfortable you've ever been, everyone needs to cater to you. But that doesn't serve others, which isn't a good default. Our default should be giving.
Yeah, the default path really is living in fear. And that's why you care so much about insurance. That's why you care about, as long as that paycheck shows up on time, so will I, right? I mean, that's what it is. You're trading your time, your life for money. And that money is just enough to keep you fed, warm, and comfortable. It's not enough for you to go and maybe have everything that you'd want to. It's not enough for you to go and help all the people that you'd maybe want to, but it's enough for 15 vacation days a year, you know? It's but I mean, that's what it is, right? That's what it is. And every person is different. For some people, that's a big part of your path, and it should be. For other people, you need to step outside of it. But even if it's your purpose, part of what God wants you to do is get a job, right? I mean, we keep talking about careers, but if someone wants you to get a job, like, do it. That's part of it, right? But don't think that that job title is the end goal, because it's not, right? I always think of like nurses. Nurses get crap pay, work way hard, and their entire job is to keep people alive, right? Like, that's a very purpose-driven calling, you could say.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nurses who do that, and then they get really upset. They get burnt out, and they're rude, or they quit, right? I think nurses have one of the highest turnover rates of all jobs. I could be wrong about that, but my whole point is that's a purpose calling, you could say. But if you say, this is just my default path and this is my job, if nursing is my job, you're going to get burnt out. You're going to get hurt, and you're going to not love it. If you say, this is my purpose and I know it, you're not saying I work for XYZ hospital. You're saying, I'm here to help these people with their problems. And then that nurse, the way that they help and the people that they touch changes everything, right? That nurse doesn't go home feeling burnt out. She goes home feeling fulfilled. I helped these people, right? But the exact same hospital will have a nurse in the exact same unit that feels completely burnt out because they are looking at it as this default path, this job that I have to do in order to survive, right? The difference, the only difference is purpose. And when you have a purpose, the other things kind of fall off. This nurse that only cares, she's not looking at her watch and saying, okay, it's time to go check on it. She's getting done out of one check and saying, okay, who can I help next, right? And that's a simplification of what people's life can be like. But the truth is, when you find your purpose, you become free in a way that you will never have when you're just thinking about your job title, when you're just thinking about the default path, which is survival, living in fear of risks, and trying to get comfortable. The more comfortable you get, the weaker you're going to get, and the less likely you are to do anything great in your life.
So what's the one thing you want people to do today from this podcast?
Understand that the default path is your enemy. It is designed to profit from you, right? Think of the people, let's just go back to the nurse example. Think of the people that own the hospital. They are making a fortune because you're showing up to work every day as a nurse. So do they want you to make a ton of money and retire and leave? No, they don't. They also don't want you to be like, oh, I get paid so little that I can't stay here long term, I have to leave. So they find this middle ground, pay them just enough to keep them comfortable so that they can stay here forever and I can kick some money off of you. That is the way the default path is set up. It's not an accident. That's how it works, right? And I could do this exact same thing for a million different industries and different companies, but I'm not going to, right? But think about that. That is the default path by default to profit off of you. If you can find what your purpose is and go and create something yourself, it will bless you forever. And you will be the one to benefit from your work, not somebody else. So this default path is your enemy. Your purpose is your freedom. One of them leads to being comfortable, which is true, right? The path, it at least provides you the security and the comfort that you want. For a while, sometimes forever, sometimes not. But it provides something. It's not that it's broken. It's that it works exactly how it's designed to profit from you. And they want it to last, right? They don't care how you it is in retirement, but they want it to last while you're there. right? That's the default path. And it leads to just being comfortable, to trapping yourself in your own captivity. And when I say trapping yourself, I shouldn't say trapping yourself like you're in captivity. It's almost like removing the potential from your life. It is sucking the potential out of your life, and you are separating yourself from it. That's what it's designed to do, because they don't want you to have a purpose. They don't want you to get out there and do more. They don't want you to leave. They want you to stay and work, and that's it. Yeah, so they don't want you to leave. The purpose path is hard. It's harder than it is to just be comfortable.
It's initially harder.
Yeah, well, it's for sure uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
And the further that you go down that road, though, it actually becomes more comfortable, right? In fact, I'm gonna have to use the whiteboard, Kim. Okay, so this is the default path. Here's what it looks like. Right here we have time. And this one is pain, or just how hard it is. Okay, for the default people, it goes like this. It's so easy and comfortable and it's not bad. And then all of a sudden something happens. Boom, pain goes way up, right? And that's actually not even a very accurate one right there, because the longer that you go living your life unfulfilled, the worse it is. So it looks more like this. It gets higher and then it sometimes can shoot up, right? And everyone has some ups and downs there, but that's what it looks like, okay? I'm going to use blue for what the other one looks like, okay? We start at the same point. Well, this is when you choose your purpose path, right? You're gonna go like this. It's really hard. Then it's gonna get pretty dang easy. And then you're gonna live your life like that. And here's the next part of this, okay? So this is the default path, what it looks like. Here is the impact that you will have on the world, the good that you can do. The default path is actually going to go, well, I don't know. It's probably going to go just like this, a flat line, wherever you're at on there. Blue again, for if you choose the purpose path, okay, this is what it looks like. Wherever you start, it's going to look like this. Okay, and notice that it's getting steeper and steeper as it goes. Okay, it's not a perfect line. It's a increasing line until it becomes massive, right, as time goes on. That is the difference between choosing the default path with low meaning, low fulfillment, low impact, and eventually it's hard. It's easy at the first and it gets harder later on. If you choose to do the hard thing first, if you choose to find your purpose and have an impact first, it is harder to start. But you get over that hump and then you're done and the rest is easy. And then the amount of good that you do as that goes on is huge. It's huge. And that is the life that you want to live. This is a life that is impactful, that means something. The other stuff doesn't, right? And I want to do one more thing while I'm at the whiteboard. Kim can cut this out later if she doesn't like it. I want you to look at the paths that are in front of you. Okay, everyone is at this point right here. Okay, this is us. We're all right here. Looking at us, we can choose these different paths that we want to take, right? Any one of them, they all go to different places. If you choose to just take this default path, you know where it's going to take you. It's going to take you 40 hours for 40 years, and hopefully it will end in this glorious place called retirement.
We got to get a better marker.
Can you see that at all, though? Okay. That's one option, right? You have this other option. That's a bad marker. And there's more options in this, right? But I'm just going to throw out the ones that are most common, okay? You have this option right here, which says, I'm going to call it the lazy option, okay? This one means Don't try. I'm going to call it self-medicate. But this means that you live for the weekend. You go home, watch Netflix. You play video games all day because you're unhappy with what real life is. You're always thinking about a movie or a game or even music or something because you don't like life. You don't try it in your job. You don't want to do anything else because you feel like life is just drudgery, right? And where does this leave? I'm going to say this leads to a bad retirement or no retirement, right? That's where that one goes. And it still takes the same hours and years as your default path. The difference is you put less into it and you care less, right? These people get to say, I got good credit. These people get to say, I had more fun, maybe. I had more time on this game. It's hard to say it's even fun because it never feels like it's enough, right? And just so that you guys understand, 80% of workers are disengaged at work, which means they're living this one. 80% of people. That's huge. That would only leave 20% here, but it's a little less than that. Let's call it 15, because you still do have 5%, and I actually think it is less than that. It's probably like 3, and that's 18. But you have 5% of people here that will choose a purpose path. And so what does this cost? Well, it costs security. It requires risk. And guess what comes with it? Failure. But where does it lead? It leads to success, or what was the other word that you used for it, Kim?
Significance.
Significance. There you go. It leads to significance. That says significance for those of you that can't read what I say. It leads to significance. It leads to impact. It leads to freedom. It is the most freedom that you can ever have. And then it almost always leads to abundance. The only time it doesn't is if you quit before you get there, right? You can't suddenly get to the top of the mountain, stop halfway and say it didn't work. The path leads to the top. It's just not always easy. That's exactly how this works, right? This is the life that you want to live, but it's not easy at the beginning. It's hard to start, but it leads to exactly where you want to go. That's my drawing board time.
We do need to give a shout out to Garrett's drawing and handwriting and spelling. And
the spelling was correct, wasn't it?
It actually was, except for that you left the T off retirement and your purpose looks like per.
Oh, wait,
purpose.
Did I say retirement or did I say retirement?
Retirement.
Oh, well. That'll make the feminists mad.
I'll get canceled. I did want to read one of my favorite quotes that kind of has to do with this. I just have a lot of passion about not living to avoid pain. And I think when we live life to avoid pain and or just to seek comfort, then you miss out on so many of the good things that life can have to offer.
Well, comfort really is avoiding pain, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not necessarily even giving you pleasure. It's just like avoiding pain. That's what the TV is, right?
Yeah.
And same thing with your phone. It's just literally, it's not pleasure in a way that like it feels amazing. It is just contentment and distraction so you don't feel pain.
Yeah.
But it does cause pain in the end anyway. Anyway, sorry. Favorite quote. You say that about every quote, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Carry on.
I'm a favorite overuser. Okay, so it says, to laugh is to risk appearing a fool. To weep is to risk appearing sentimental. To reach out to another is to risk involvement. To expose feelings is to risk exposing your true self. To place your ideas and dreams before a crowd is to risk their loss. To love is to risk not being loved in return. To live is risk dying. To hope is to risk despair. To try is to risk failure. But risks must be taken because the greatest hazard in life is to risk nothing. The person who risks nothing, does nothing, has nothing, is nothing. He may avoid suffering and sorrow, but he cannot learn, feel, change, grow, or live. Chained by his servitude, he is a slave who has forfeited all freedom. Only a person who risks is free.
Wow. That's perfect.
See why that's my favorite?
Very good.
But I just love that only a person who risks is free. And it's totally true. We're holding so many things in that we're afraid to risk or feel or say or do because of how someone else will react or because we could risk failure, that we don't live. We don't truly live. And it's just like letting go of all your inhibitions and not being stupid, but it's okay to risk.
Yeah.
And to risk is to live. To fail is to live. And both are okay.
Yeah. And your default path tries really hard to make you avoid risk. I mean, the entire job of a lawyer is to help you mitigate risk.
Yeah.
Right? The entire job of insurance is to prepare you so that you don't have to worry when or if something bad happens, right? We can take that risk away from you. Don't worry about saving for it. Just pay us every month. And then if it happens, we'll kind of cover you. Right? I mean, but everything about it is avoid risk, right? I saw this guy who said that he traveled the world for the government, and he said you could always tell what the general public cared about most by the advertisements that they saw.
The billboards.
The billboards, yeah. And he said, he talked about some different countries, but he said in America specifically, it was insurance. It was insurance and lawyers, if you're in an accident. Right? So it's like they said, like what it basically said, Americans are living in fear.
Yeah.
Fear of risk. Exactly like he's saying. We don't want to risk anything. We don't want to do anything. If you want to avoid all controversy, avoid all pain, then like it says, be nothing, do nothing, and say nothing. Right? And most of us do that. And then when we do say something, we have to be behind a screen. So we have some sort of anonymity. Is that right? Anonymity? You have to be anonymous?
I can't think of how you'd say that.
You have to be anonymous so that someone can't come back to you and be like, you don't like what I'm doing? You don't, you know what I mean? Like you have all these comment heroes who are grilling people all over the place while they're not doing anything themselves. Mm-hmm. And all I'm saying is, if you are going to make something out of your life, people are probably going to tell you it's wrong. They're probably going to tell you you can't do it. But
probably going to tell you you're jumping backwards.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to have the life of your dreams, you have to give up your current, safe, comfortable life. And guess what? You'll regret it. You will. I guarantee you will regret it. 3 months into the hard part, you'll say, that was dumb. Yeah, I should go back.
This is hard. Yeah.
This sucks, right? But if you push through and you make it a month 4 or 5 or whatever, all of a sudden it changes. And then it says, hey, this is good. I like this. This was the best decision I've ever made. Don't trust the people that are trying to convince you need to stay on this default path because that's what's safe. Everyone always says safety first, right? Dad says that all the time, right? Mom says it. Maddie says it to me. Everyone I know, you say it to me.
It's Garrett's literal least favorite phrase.
I hate it. Yeah, I don't know if you can have a least favorite phrase, but it'd be mine.
It's always safety second.
Yeah, I actually switched it to safety 17th.
Oh, perfect.
Right? Put it where it belongs. Okay, safety matters. I'm not telling you to be an idiot, but I am saying put it where it belongs. Right? You're here to break bones. You are here to get the most out of life. You are here to have an impact on other people. None of that can happen if you put safety first.
Like that One Republic song, I Lived. You know that one?
Sing it.
I'm a terrible singer. It says about breaking bones. Yeah, and with every broken bone, I swear I lived.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that song because it's this quote in a song.
Okay, nice.
But it's so true. Like living to avoid pain and comfort is literally saying that's the purpose of life, is to avoid pain and be comfortable. When the purpose of life is to experience all that there is to experience, is to grow, learn, become, and to bless other people along the way. And sometimes safety and comfort can come with that, and sometimes it won't, and that's fine. We're not against mainstream. We're just saying choose what you choose intentionally, and choose it because you're trying to live the life you're designed for, not because you're trying to avoid pain or afraid of what other people think about your choices.
And here's what I would say to the people that are scared, too scared to take the risk, or even that they're not scared, but they don't know what to do it on, or they do, but it's not ready yet. Keep your job. Keep your job. Just don't fall into the trap of going home, flipping on the TV, spending time on your phone and doing nothing. Spend time every day building what you actually want to have. Spend time building the life that you want to have. If you have an idea, if you have a business idea, if you have anything that you can do to build and actually become who you're supposed to become, start doing it. And here's the thing, if you actually do that, it doesn't take years to develop or do. If you have spent years on something and it's not ready, you're not doing it right? It takes weeks, maybe a couple months, depending on what you're building, right? And I know people are going to challenge me on that. Go ahead. Come talk to us. I will show you how you can do it faster, right? When you decide to do it that way, you eliminate risk. That's good, right? Stay in the safe lane until you're really ready to jump, but get ready to jump. If you just say, I'll do it someday means never, right? If you say I do it today means now, right? That is what is really important, is taking the risk, doing it now, getting off that default path that does not have your best interest, and live the life that you're meant for. And you were designed by God to live a better life, to be a better person. You cannot live the default path and think that you are fulfilling what God put you here to do. It is impossible. Now, you can find your purpose and have a job. Okay? That's obvious. That's good. That's how it should be. Find your purpose. If you can find your purpose and it's in a job, great. Your job title is not your purpose, though. Don't get that twisted. Most people, I'm going to say 98% of people, that's a made-up number. So don't quote me on it. Okay, yeah. 98% of people would benefit from creating their own thing and not working for somebody else. Even people like a nurse, like we said before. If a nurse started her own company for nurses to go and help and people, and she had her purpose behind it, she is going to be much more successful herself. She's going to be much more successful in that industry and making nurses better and helping people better and fulfilling her purpose. Everything will be better if she creates. If she just takes that default path, creation says stop. And in fact, I don't know if most people know this. Most jobs, when you sign on your offer sheet or you accept the job, they say that anything you create while you're working for them, they own. Mm-hmm. Think of how crazy that is, right? So go ahead, work in your basement. Don't bring it out to the light until you quit, if you got that in there. But, and there's restrictions on that, right? Like, you can't have someone who works for a coating company and they build a tire, right? Or a new bike. It has nothing to do with coating. Like you're safe, right? But if you do anything with coating, they claim it's theirs. So there's issues there. Like, it's the default path designed to sap your potential and you make money from it. Get off of it. Choose a better path.
Yeah. Choose the right path for you because of what God wants you to do and because of the people you need to help. Live free and live with purpose and live a significant life.